India and China, two rivals with a long and bitter history, are suddenly warming up. These are countries that once stood on opposite sides of Asia's power struggle. They fought wars, they clashed at borders, they distrusted each other for decades. So why now? Why the sudden shift, smiles, handshakes, trade talks, when not long ago there was only hostility? The answer lies not in New Delhi or in Beijing, but in Washington. And the consequences could reshape the global balance of power. In this video, we'll explore why India and China are reconciling, how US policies are pushing them closer, and what this could mean for the future of Asia and the world. To understand this moment, we need to look back. India and China have never shared a truly comfortable relationship. Their border stretches thousands of kilometers across some of the toughest terrain in the world. For decades, that border has been a flashpoint. In 1962, they fought a war in the Himalayas. The scars of that conflict still shape public memory in both countries. More recently, in 2020, tensions reignited in the Galwan Valley of Ladakh. Soldiers from both sides clashed in brutal hand-to-hand combat. Dozens were killed. Images of that standoff shocked the world, reminding everyone that this rivalry is not just history, it is alive today. And yet, while these conflicts kept India cautious, New Delhi found another partner, Washington. Over the last decade, India grew closer to the United States. They signed defense agreements, they expanded trade, and they joined the Quad, alongside Japan and Australia, designed to check China's growing influence. For years, the alignment seemed clear: India versus China, with America as India's powerful backer. But that clarity has started to blur. The trigger? US economic pressure. In 2025, the Trump administration returned to a familiar tool: tariffs. This time, the target was India's imports of Russian oil. Washington argued it was enforcing sanctions. But for India, the timing and the scale of these tariffs felt like a squeeze. Why? Because Russian oil has been a lifeline for India's economy. Buying energy at discounted prices from Moscow allowed New Delhi to control inflation, keeping fuel affordable for its 1.4 billion people. By taxing that supply, Washington wasn't nudging India, it was cornering it. And here lies the irony. While the US sought to punish Russia and keep India in line, the effect was different. India began exploring alternatives. It needed breathing space. And surprisingly, one of those alternatives came from Beijing. Almost immediately, signs of a thaw appeared. Trade talks that had stalled were suddenly back on the table. Tourism and visas, frozen since the pandemic and border clashes, began to resume. Flights reopened, business delegations returned. Even at the military level, communication channels along the Himalayan frontier were reactivated. It wasn't a solution to the border problem, but it was dialogue. And in geopolitics, dialogue is power. Why would India do this? The logic is simple. China remains one of India's largest trading partners. Cutting ties completely is unrealistic. Softening the tone gives India leverage. By warming up to China, even slightly, New Delhi sends a signal to Washington: we have other options. For Beijing, the advantages are equally clear. By lowering tensions and opening its markets, China reduces the pressure of encirclement. Every step India takes away from Washington, even a small one, weakens America's Indo-Pacific strategy. It is a classic case of geopolitics, rivals finding common ground when pressured by a third power. So what does this mean strategically? India calls this approach strategic autonomy. The idea is simple: don't lean too heavily on any one power. Always keep room to maneuver. This policy has roots in the Cold War. Back then, India refused to fully join either the US or Soviet bloc. In 2025, the logic is the same. Balance America and China. Keep flexibility. For China, this thaw is not about friendship, it's about opportunity. Beijing knows Washington's biggest goal in Asia is to keep India firmly on its side, so every handshake, every reopened trade lane is a quiet victory. For the US, this is the danger. America has invested years into building the Quad, strengthening alliances, framing the Indo-Pacific as the central front in great power competition. a softer India-China relationship could weaken all of that. In short, Washington's pressure may be achieving the opposite of what it intended. The global consequences could be profound. If India leans even slightly toward China, Asia's power balance changes. It could slow or even fracture America's Indo-Pacific vision. Energy trade could shift, security alliances could wobble. And then there is BRICS. China already leads the grouping. If India plays along, even selectively, it strengthens the idea of a multipolar world, a world where US dominance is no longer assured. So while America tightens the screws, India and China are carefully redrawing the script of Asian geopolitics. This may not mean permanent friendship. Old rivalries run deep, but it shows how pressure can create unlikely alignments. The real question is this: will Washington adapt to this new reality? Or will it watch its influence slowly fade in the very region it considers most important? History often shifts when rivals find common ground. Sometimes briefly, sometimes for generations. Could today's India-China thaw be remembered as a turning point? Or will it collapse under the weight of mistrust and unresolved borders? That is the unanswered question, one that will shape Asia's future. If you found this breakdown useful, subscribe for more clear and calm explanations of global power shifts. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Is India drifting closer to China? Or is it simply playing a careful balancing game? Leave a comment below, because the story of power in our world is still unfolding, and your perspective matters.